Hi everyone, it's Mari here for the Paper and Ink Boutique. Thank you so much for stopping by the YouTube channel. I am going to be creating today with 49 and Market Nature's Haven. This is a stunning collection that was one of their summer releases, and it's just so beautiful. Hopefully you were lucky enough to have purchased this. I want to provide some inspiration today, and I'm going to be doing a 12 by 12 scrapbooking layout. I pulled a few papers from the collection that I thought I might like to use with the photos that I had printed, and all of these papers are stunning. I could have used any of them, but once I placed the photos onto the paper and kind of took a look at the dimensions of the photos and some of the product that I wanted to use alongside, I felt like the paper that I chose was probably the best fit. So the paper that I'm going to be using is called Strawberry Tea. Although this paper here is equally gorgeous, I just felt that these two frames fit better for where I wanted to use the ephemera and the title and so on and so forth with the Strawberry Tea paper. So this paper here that I'm showing you now on the left there is the Strawberry Tea. And it is so beautiful. I love that ephemera that's part of the paper at the top and the bottom. And I'm going to show you the placement that I'm going to choose for everything as I go through, obviously, and explain my choices and my decision making as I go through. So I have two photos here that I printed in black and white. The one on the left is about 4 by 3, and the one on the right is about 2 by 1 3/4 or something like that, I think. And basically what I did was I measured inside dimensions of that frame and then printed my photos to match. And I wanted black and white just because I really love black and white photos, and especially if the colors in the photos don't really go with the collection that I'm going to be using. And I use Adobe Lightroom to do all of the adjustments of everything on my photos so that they turn out really well. And I'm always really happy with my black and white photos, so I wasn't sad about that. The picture on the left works really well on the left as the larger photo, because you'll notice that that area of the paper is more free of decoration in the paper. So there really isn't any florals or anything like that in that area on the left. It's more of an open space. And so that's why I chose that area for my larger photo. And so I'm just going to use a little bit of Scrapbook Adhesives by 3L repositionable adhesive on the frame. And then I'm just going to hold the picture down with my finger and then place the frame over top. And I want to make sure that I get the baby's feet and his one little hand that's on the right of the photo as you're looking at it. I want to make sure I get some of that hand in there and that kind of thing. So I'm just being mindful of what I'm capturing in that picture when I put that frame on there. Then I'll just take my scissors and I'll trim off the piece of the photo that's sticking out beyond the frame at the bottom. And now that's just going to look really cool. And I love that frame. I think it looks really neat. It's obviously rustic looking. And it also has a little bit of foliage and strawberries at the bottom of it in the left corner. And then I picked a kind of matching frame for the photo on the right, but of course in a smaller dimension, because I wanted there to be sort of a variation in the size. And then of course, because that area on the right has got more going on the paper. So just kind of filled a few requirements for me. And that's why I chose those pieces and those photos in those sizes. So you can see how those are going to just fit nicely on the paper in that way. Really liking how that's looking. And we just last week took our grandsons to the park in Saskatoon that has like a little train and a carousel, and it's got a Ferris wheel, and there's a big play park and a spray park and stuff, and it's really, really fun. And they absolutely loved it. So we really enjoyed that. And this is the die cut elements pack for Nature's Haven. There are 73 pieces in that pack. It's amazing. And that's where those frames came from. which I love. And there's a bunch more in that pack. You don't just get two, so it's great. And I'm going to show you a few other little bits of ephemera that are part of that pack as well. 49 and Market has really quickly become my most favorite product to scrapbook with. I love it. They just get better and better all the time. I love it. And it's a bit of an addiction for sure. I love 49 and Market, and I also really love Minte because of the quality of the paper. I really love the heaviness of it, and you can add mixed media to it and all sorts of things. So it's just so great. And this is one of the laser die cut packs that's a coordinating element with the collection. This one I think is called Elements. And again, there's more frames in this pack, and then there's foliage and florals. This pack actually, I think is called the Wildflower pack. This is the Elements pack. So I had it backwards. So that first pack I showed you was the Wildflower, and this is the Elements. But look at all of these amazing bits here. There's banners, there's like wagon wheels, circular kind of wreath shapes, all kinds of things. There's that really cool rustic fence, some really, really neat things that you can do with this ephemera. And then there's a rub-on pack. Gorgeous. It's so beautiful. And again, some of the imagery here is a repeat of what's in the laser cuts, but it's different, of course, because it has a different feel to it. And you're going to get a bunch of other different images beyond what's in the laser cuts as well. So just beautiful. And you get 3 sheets of 6 by 12, and there's tons on there. So really great. And I'll be using some of those today on my layout. So I pulled some of the die cut elements out of the pack to layer behind my photo. And you can cut these down if you don't want to waste what gets hidden by the photo. You can cut down any of these elements as you choose. I have so much scrapbooking stuff, guys, I didn't worry about that. But if you're trying to conserve, you can cut things in half. You can trim the bottoms off, whatever that's not going to be seen, so that you can save that for another project. Now, I wanted to add dimension to these pieces, so I'm going to take my scrapbook adhesives by 3L foam squares, and I'm going to attach those onto the backs of these different ephemera pieces and create some dimension between the pieces. And then I'll also add dimension to the photos. And so that's what you're going to see me doing here. I'm just going to take some time to add that dimension to these. And what I always say too is like, yes, it means that you might get fewer pages in your albums. But I love the look of dimension. And if you don't, then you can just glue these pieces together. They're still going to look great as layering pieces behind. But if you like that look of space between your pieces, that's how you can achieve that. Now for this photo, what I want to do is the piece that's going to be laying on top of the ephemera on the left, that piece I'm just going to do a single piece of foam adhesive. But the piece that's going to be on the right, not over top of the ephemera, I'm going to double that up so that the foam is even all the way across and we don't have sort of like a, unlevel situation happening. And so that's going to allow that to stay level. Now, I did use a T-square ruler to make sure that my photograph was straight with the edge of the layout. And now I'm going to start working on the layers for the photo on the right. And I'm using basically the same method that I used for the photo on the left, using some of those die cut elements as layering pieces. I've got a tag behind both photos. I've got one of those folders behind each photo. And then those layering pieces that look like little pieces that were torn out of a notebook, which is so cool. I love that. I think that's really neat. And again, these photos, they're so precious. We just had so much fun with the kids that day. They just absolutely loved it. We weren't there for a huge, big, long time at the park, probably like 2.5 hours or something. But that was long enough for them to, like, their mom, of course, brought them a snack. But then, of course, we also had ice cream. So there's a little concession there. And you can see my little grandson in this photo is eating his ice cream. It was, in fact, a SpongeBob SquarePants ice cream. And I document about that in the journaling because it's a black and white photo. You can't see that it's a SpongeBob ice cream. So I'm going to start working on some layering ephemera on the sides of the photos. And I really liked that round piece there. And I'm going to just cut that in half so that I can use it on each photo. And then I'm going to just layer things over top. And again, I'm going to use foam adhesive on these pieces to pop them up and create space between the different layers. So I've got some foam adhesive on that floral cluster there. And then I'm going to add this little daisy over top, and I'm going to put the foam adhesive over to one side and layer it on the frame. And I love the little butterflies. I always love the 49 and Market butterflies, right? Are you with me on that one? They're so good. You can use these for your cards or whatever it is that you're working on. They're so good. And I like to pop mine up with a little glue dot. So I'll take a glue dot and if I've got large ones, which probably work the best for this, you can fold them over so that you're going to get even more dimension. And then I like to fluff up the wings by bending them up a little bit. I really love to frame layouts like this. And I have a space in my house. I have a craft room that's a bedroom in my basement, but then I also have in my main area of my basement, like where our TV and everything is, in the one end, I have another area there set up for my art journaling stuff. So like all my Dina Wakley stuff is there. And I'm not sure why I was telling you that, but it just popped into my head. But I guess just as a point of, I have a lot of scrapbooking supplies, but I like to keep my art journaling area sort of separate from that. Another little butterfly is going to go on this cluster, and I'm trying to kind of work so that this is a little bit of a diagonal from the cluster on the left. So I'm going to add a glue dot on the back of that and add that down. And just using my tweezers here to help me place things. And I'm really liking that. I like the dimension that I'm getting there. Oh, I know why I was telling you that about my other space. Because in my art journaling space, I have a little, my husband calls it a pony wall, but it's like a shelf behind my art journaling table. And I display my scrapbooking layouts there. And I love that. So if you've got some work that's dimensional, and you like to leave things outside of your albums, you can find a place in your house where you can display those, and it might be your craft space. You can put them on the wall, you can frame them, whatever you'd like to do. So I'm adding that little detail with those rub-ons in those corner areas there where I'm adding them in. I love those. Just a really simple and easy way to add a little bit of extra detail to your project. It's subtle, but it's nice. I like it. So that's it for the rub-ons. And now I'm just kind of looking at everything. I'm noticing that would be a great area down there for a title in that area in somewhere. And so I'm going to show you now, these are the puffy stickers from the Nature Saving collection. They're gorgeous. You get 2 sheets of these. They're perfect for your titles because this collection did not have the chipboard words. So this is kind of a really great fill-in for that product that wasn't included in the collection. And you can also use these little pieces here as subtitles if you want. And I purposely left that the tag sticking up a little bit more over the left photo because I wanted to put either a tab there or in this case a phrase. And it says remember, I believe. And I'm gonna move it down a little bit so that it's just sticking up kind of above the frame. And I like how it just kind of like completes that space and adds that little bit more detail to that area. And then I'm going to take one of these little puffy sticker circles. It's kind of like an enamel dot, except it's a puffy sticker. And I'm going to put one of those in each of the little holes of those tags in the different colors. So the one on the left is the red with the white dots, and the one on the right is green with white dots. And then my title is going to be Capture the Moment. So it's a really great title for the layout. And yeah, I really, really was happy with how this collection worked with these photos and the story that I wanted to tell. These little laser cut ladybugs are so adorable. And my oldest grandson here is totally taken with ladybugs. He loves them. So I wanted to make sure to get at least one ladybug on this project. I knew that he would really love that. I wanted to just kind of fill in that little gap below the photo to kind of make things a little bit more joined and cohesive there. And I'm just filling that in with one of the laser cuts. Now, I just took a piece of paper and die cut it and did my journaling on that. And I often, and you probably noticed this if you've watched any of my scrapbooking or seen layouts of mine, I often don't put my journaling on the front of my layouts. And I always tell my kids to look at the back of the layouts. And it's funny, and I've done this for a long time, but it's because I often share my projects in social media and I don't always want to share my journaling. It's not because I don't like my handwriting. I do. And I have in the past definitely put journaling on my layouts with my typewriter or whatever. But this is my preferred way of doing things if I'm sharing. And now I'm going to add some white splatter. So I have covered my photos and my text with paper. And I'm taking some Dina Wakley white gloss spray and I'm using a Lavinia fan brush. And I'm just tapping that on. And you'll notice that I got some on that puffy sticker and I didn't want it on there. So you can just wipe that off. It just wipes right off. And I am going to just continue to splatter this until I get a really nice, cohesive looking white splatter on the entire layout. And then I'll just take and cut that branding strip off the bottom when that white splatter dries and my layout is going to be complete. I'm going to do a little cleanup here and then I'm going to show you a close-up of the project. I'll lift it up and I'll show you so that you can see the dimension. It's not super thick, but it's dimensional enough that it just looks really pleasing to the eye. I'm really happy with how it turned out and I hope that you enjoyed. Friends, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and that you give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the Paper and Ink Boutiques channel here on YouTube. And if you haven't picked up the latest 49 and Market collections, there's another one that just came out today, in fact, or two that just came out today. They're so beautiful. I really love them. And the team at the Paper and Ink Boutique can totally help you out with that. Have an amazing day, friends. I hope to see you again soon. Take care, stay safe, and be well. Bye-bye.